She tells them, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Hey guys, Musa here, and today I'm bringing you my predictions of the seedings of the NFL playoffs. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with the AFC playoff clinching scenarios. Starting it off with the AFC South, for the Titans to clinch the division win, all they need is to win or have a Colts loss. Now, for the Colts to clinch it, they need a win and the Titans loss. That's the only way they get in. It is more likely for Tennessee to get the win and Indianapolis, of course, but I see it more like, I think maybe Tennessee will end up winning the division over Indianapolis via tiebreakers. Now, for the wild cards of the AFC, we got the Tennessee Titans. They need a win or a Baltimore loss or an Indianapolis loss or a Miami loss to clinch a wild card slot. Then you get Miami. They need a win or a Baltimore loss or a Cleveland loss or an Indianapolis loss. Then you get the Ravens. They need a win or a Cleveland loss or a Indianapolis loss. For the Browns, you need a win or an Indianapolis loss or a Tennessee loss plus a Baltimore win plus an Indianapolis win plus a Miami win. Now for the Colts, all they need to do is win and have one of the following scenarios, which is a Tennessee loss or a Baltimore loss or a Cleveland loss or a Miami loss. That is all these teams need in order to clinch the wild card slots. Now let's get on to who I think in the AFC will make the playoffs. Now in the AFC playoff seeding, we officially have the Kansas City Chiefs as the number 1 seed. It could be that the Bills and Steelers switch from 1 and 3, but it's still unknown. I think that the Bills will be the number 2 seed and the Pittsburgh Steelers will be the number 3 seed. They already clinched the playoffs. They already clinched the division title. All 3 teams. Kansas City already clinched the number 1 seed. Now, who I think will win the AFC South and have the 4 seed is the Tennessee Titans. Now, honestly, Tennessee has been doing well. With tiebreakers, that is how the Indianapolis Colts will lose to the Tennessee Titans, the division. Then for the 5th seed in the playoffs, we got the Baltimore Ravens. And I think the Baltimore Ravens deserve to be in the playoffs. Honestly, every AFC North team except for Cincinnati deserves to be in the playoffs. Except for one Cincinnati player who should be in the playoffs, which is Joe Burrow. And why do I say that? Because honestly, he's been doing 10 times better than his own team. And honestly, that's saying a lot. When your rookie quarterback, your first overall pick, is better than your entire team. But as far as I can see, I think that Baltimore will get the 5 seed. Now for the 6th seed, you get the Cleveland Browns. Now, the 6th seed, I think the Browns could get it. Either it's going to be the 6th or the 7th seed. One of the two, but I expect them to get that number 6 seed and get into the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Now for the 7th seed, we got the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Dolphins will be eliminated from the playoffs and the Colts will clinch the final wildcard spot in order to get into the playoffs. Now with this scenario, it'd be the Buffalo Bills hosting the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Cleveland Browns, and the Tennessee Titans hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Now, for Indianapolis and Buffalo, I've never actually seen an Indianapolis and Buffalo game that actually has been something to watch. But I hope that Philip Rivers taking on Josh Allen would be a very good matchup. Now, a third matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Imagine that. Week 17, they play a game in Cleveland. Then Cleveland has to travel to Heinz Field in the playoffs. That is going to be troubling. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time the Browns made the playoffs, they lost to Pittsburgh in the wild card. So this is kind of revenge for them. They want revenge for all the years that Pittsburgh has basically pummeled the Browns into submission. And to be honest, I think they could do it, but I don't expect them to. But anyways, these two teams, they're very good, and I expect a very good game from Pittsburgh and Cleveland if this scenario happens. Now, the other scenario would be the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Tennessee Titans. Honestly, this has a lot of history. Well, not really, just one, and one specifically which was recent, and that was the AFC divisional round matchup last season, where the Tennessee Titans came from the wild card and defeated the number one seeded Baltimore Ravens at home, defeated Lamar Jackson, the unanimous MVP. And to be honest, that was impressive. But can they do it again? Maybe not. I don't think they can do that to Tennessee again. But if Tennessee does, they're going to be knocked down in the second round. I don't expect them to get the AFC title game like last time, but I do expect them to do well in the playoffs. Now let's get started with the NFC clinching scenarios. Now, we have the NFC wildcard spots, we got the NFC home field advantage, and the NFC East title. Now, what teams will win the NFC home field advantage? The number one seed basically. The Packers, the Saints, or the Seahawks. Now the Packers need a win or a Seattle loss in order to clinch the home field advantage. The Saints need a win, a Green Bay loss, and a Seattle win in order to get on top. Then you get Seattle, which needs a win, a New Orleans loss, or tie, and a Green Bay loss. That's what they need. That's what they need in order to win home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then you go to the NFC East. Honestly, the worst division in football. Now, for the NFC East, the Washington football team will clinch it with a win. That's all they need. They need to win against Philadelphia, and they're in. Then, for the Dallas Cowboys, they need a win and a Washington loss. And since they're facing the New York Giants, who are the other one to have to clinch it, it's basically whoever wins in Dallas versus New York. And depending if the Washington football team loses, that team that won in New York versus the Cowboys, that will be the team that wins the NFC title. So a Cowboys win and a Washington loss and a Giants win and Washington loss, that will be the respective team to win the title and be the number 4 seed. Now, let's get on to the wild card spots, which are the Rams, Bears, and Cardinals. The Bears, in order to clinch, they need a win or a Cardinals loss. And for the Rams, they need a win or a Bears loss. And for the Cardinals, just win. You win and you're in. Now let's get on to my playoff predictions of the NFC. Now, in the NFC playoffs, we already know who's in already. And right now, Green Bay, New Orleans, Seattle, and Tampa Bay are all in. Green Bay, New Orleans, and Seattle being division champions, and Tampa being a wildcard spot. Now, I'm saying, in my scenario, Green Bay is the number 1 seed, New Orleans is the number 2 seed, Seattle, the number 3 seed, Dallas, the number 4 seed, Tampa Bay, the number 5 seed, Arizona, the number 6 seed, and Los Angeles, the number 7 seed. Now, this will make the LA Rams go up against the New Orleans Saints. This is a very good game because we all remember back in 2018, for the chance to go to Super Bowl 53, we had in the NFC Championship game the New Orleans Saints at home versus the Los Angeles Rams, and I don't think any of the Saints fans forgot that play from Robbie McElcoleman, something like that. Robbie McElcoleman, I don't remember. It was some cornerback for the LA Rams, who I think is still playing for the LA Rams, who hit one of the receivers so he couldn't catch the ball. And it was not called pass interference. So basically, this is more of a revenge game for the New Orleans Saints. And honestly, they're going to take their anger out on LA if this scenario happens. Now, that will also mean that Arizona will take on Seattle in Seattle. And honestly, I'm seeing this. Arizona, done well. But Seattle's going to be the one who wins because Arizona is crumbling. They're crumbling right now, and it is a team that is basically on the tippy toes to basically get on top. But they haven't because, honestly, their defense is the struggling part. Like, they're not struggling on offense. It's their defense who really struggles and allows too many points. So I'm thinking a Seattle win there. Then you got the last scenario, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm just saying, it doesn't matter if it's the Dallas Cowboys, Washington football team, or New York Giants. No team in the NFC East is defeating Tampa Bay. No way. It's impossible. And if they do, I give them a round of applause. That's what I will give them if this scenario happens and they beat Brady and the Buccaneers. Now that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think will win the NFC East? Who do you think will make the playoffs in the AFC or in the NFC? Tell me down in the comments below and tell me what matchups that I mentioned are really interesting for you, and tell me your scenarios. Tell me who you think will be playing who in the playoffs. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe and hit the notification if you want more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.